So, how's everybody doing today? Good morning, and welcome to another exciting Talks at Google event. I'm Cliff, but the real star of our conversation here today is Ekta Kapoor, so please welcome her to Google.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, she can clearly be described as India's #1 media mogul. She has production experience over 15,000 hours of content, and that number is growing on a daily basis, as we'll talk about during our conversation today. She's constantly changing the face of media in India. Under her leadership, Balaji Telefilms has expanded to include the Balaji Motion Pictures, ALT Entertainment Limited, Bolt Media Limited, and the popularity continues to grow. She's topped ratings on TV for decades, especially with soap operas and serials such as the Kunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bapati. I had to practice my Hindi before I brought in this talk. And also we have the Kani Gargar Ki, the Hoom Panch. Sorry, it's getting
They
better.
sound way better with you.
All right.
Please continue.
Thank you. And then several blockbuster films, including the Shootout at Lokhandwanda, Wala, so close, Rajini MMS, and then the Dirty Picture. I'm able to get that one done. And we'll have time for some brief Q&A towards the end, so be on the lookout for a microphone as it circulates around. But I just wanted to start out by, you're here in the Bay Area. What brings you to town? What have you been up to recently?
So actually, two different questions that I'll answer both. We were about to organize a BCL cricket match, a totally different experience for anyone who watches television with TV stars, playing out cricket with women and men playing TV. It's an interesting format, just adding on colors this year. Got a fabulous response, great ratings. So we decided it's an event-based TV game show. So I can do it off television in a studio, so the game can be watched live or then watched on television. So we're planning to do it again because we had some visa issues and we couldn't do it, but I said let's not cancel the trip and come and reassure our viewers here that we're going to do it soon.
And so has that been a challenge or a difference for you, moving away from the more drama and fiction-based shows to this sporting event?
So I'm as far from sports as probably Sachin Tendulkar is from dramas, but I had no option. But when this concept came to me with all the television stars, with women and men playing cricket, especially with the growing interest in women for cricket, I was like, why not do it? Because it's not the love of the game, but the love of equality that made me enjoy the whole game. Women are playing it as well. I love it when a female television actress gets a guy out. There's so much sledging out there. So if you see the game live, you'll actually be shocked because people forget that known TV stars, they start sledging each other, especially the male actors. And at the end, you're all rooting for the women, for them to get the guys out. So it's interesting, fun, it's exciting, it's a whole new concept, and I thought I enjoyed cricket way more when I saw it this way.
Well, hopefully you can bowl a few rounds yourself.
As far I managed to hit the bat when Sunny Leon bowled, and I think I did a pretty good job. But that's because I have some experience of playing squash. But as far as dramas go, I continue doing dramas. Actually, that's the thing I know, and I probably only know two things in life. One is probably making tea, and that also green tea. And the second is dramas, so I can't leave it.
Well, the success continues to follow. And I was hoping, for the folks in the audience and the folks on YouTube, if you could give me a little bit of background to the origins of your production company. It sounds like many great things, like Google and up and down the street here. You started in a garage, which I thought was pretty cool.
So here I was but 16 odd years old and extremely overweight. No interest, unlike many other star kids, to join films as an actress. Not that anyone would take me with that kind of weight, but I didn't have any interest myself also. And all I wanted to do was tell stories or become a journalist or do something interesting. Television was in its nascent stage at that time, and my dad offered me to make television programming for a friend of his who had a channel in America, in the UK, called TV Asia. So I said, done. I started making the programs and the channel got sold to Z. So I had 3 shows and no channel. So I said, let's try to sell it here. None of it got sold, made some more shows. And after about 4 years of struggle, real struggle, I landed hitting it with one of the channels, Z in India, with Hum Punch. And then 4 or 5 years of more struggle, and I landed up doing a show called Kyonki, and then I just took off. I think that's that eureka moment that happens where you say, okay, now it's happening. Oh wow, it's happening.
Yeah, no, it's real life. And the other thing that surprised me too, it's a family business, but in contrast to many family businesses in India, it's a mother-daughter deal. So how did that come about, and what's it like working with your mom, who herself has a storied career?
So my mom was a housewife, ran a shop, completely star wife. I was 16. My dad was probably one of the most emancipated fathers. He was like, you must work, you must do something with your own life. And he gave us a little bit of capital and said, do something now. My mom, who had no idea about business, got in to help me. And both of us started, and we made a business out of it. I think it's important for parents. I think we don't even realize how smart our mothers are when they manage the budget of the house. I think that knowledge helped her manage. Today she's known as one of the best women in production in India. But it's as simple or as complicated as managing a budget of a house, she says. She says that gave her the ground knowledge of how to run a business. And it was probably, even today, she takes extremely strong and keen interest in the house budget, because she says it refines her skills.
Yeah. Oh, and if the house is not in order, then it's hard to keep the empire going. And of course, Tushar, your brother, also successful in his own right. Was there sibling rivalry growing up when you have two siblings in the industry?
He's an actor and I'm actually a producer, so there was really no rivalry. But he's a simpler person. He's not too ambitious. He is now a father.
I heard.
Yeah. And he's given us the biggest joy of our life, my nephew. And I think I've never had, it's not many people know this, but I've been in awe of my brother. I actually think he's a smarter, saner, more stable person than me. I'm all over the place, I could be good in one thing, that is business, but I don't have the kind of balance he has in life. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a very family. Like your family's very close knit. You were telling me before you're taking care of your nephew. Like everybody's getting together for home cooked meals. How do you keep that sense of family while at the same time dealing with the ever growing business? Are you always talking about the business or about the family?
I don't think being close-knit as a family means spending family time, too much of it, Once or twice a week we have lunch or dinner together. Most of the time we're working, but we're always connected to each other. And of course, we all have duties as far as my nephew goes. And we all take it up. So you can do what you want in your business, but when it's your time to take care of your nephew, it's that takes over. So there's clearly, everything else takes a backstage. But more than anything else, I think my family was the reason I got into business. They gave me a lot of support. I'm too lazy to move out. I can't live alone. It's not my scene. Having a house with home cooked meals, I'm not giving it up. I can't go home and now check, while my mother's damn good at checking the house budget, I'd be a disaster at it. So I'm probably the only person who lives in the house. Mom says, you live like you're living in a hotel, you don't know anything that's happening. So I'm one of those people who waltz in at 2 o'clock after work, get fresh food, be happy about it and pass out.
Nice.
So I wouldn't be able to live alone.
Cool. And then I'm also curious to learn a little bit more about the production cycle for serials in India. I'm admittedly a little bit more familiar with how they work in America, but it seems like the volume is just that much higher. So how do you keep track of all the episodes? It's
constantly checking on the episodes here and there. I go through the storylines constantly. There are many of ours which are doing very well. There's one called Kasam, Ye Hai Mohabbatein. And of course, Nagin, which created a whole new era as far as ratings go. What I'm doing now is because the global Indian and the city Indian is very different from the mass Indian. And while we're making television for the mass Indian, for the global Indian and for the urban Indian, we're creating this app which is going to start end of the year. In fact, I was on this side of the town, of the country, in Frisco last December, when it was really cold in Frisco, which is quite shocking. And I had come to raise funds, which I got, and I'm now about to start my app in November, which is going to be high impact, shorter series, 13 to 20 episodes at max, multilingual, so Tamil, Punjabi, all different languages, plus Hindi, English also. And it's going to create content for the urban Indian who doesn't have that much time but wants to watch high impact, good quality content, like a longer elongated film for 13 episodes instead of watching a daily soap every day. More individual viewing, more urban in its taste, more with urban issues coming into place, multitasking, stuff that we don't deal with, because while television has become one size fits all, which is for the extremely smaller towns who like stories which are very, very basic because they're very, very simple in their taste, the urban, slightly more complicated, slightly more emancipated Indian will now get content for them in their language with their thought processes on the app.
And that's something that's really true. I mean, with the success of your serials, it's a cultural phenomenon. People throughout the country are they know them by name. To what extent are you shaping culture versus reflecting the culture that you see?
I don't know if I'm shaping culture. Yeah. I've had a lot of men tell me that we don't get food when your show's there, which means I'm quite happy. I say then go and get your own plate. Let her watch. So, but yes, I actually believe I'm an observer. I love human beings. I love people. I think while myself I'm very private, I like to see people, notice how they live. I notice small things, how people are at home. I never lived in a joint family, but I made all my shows about joint family. It was a little bit of aspiration of how life would be if I was in a fuller joint family. It was also a little bit of noticing friends' homes. And then of course it was about the fact that a lot of women in India are told to take over their place of their mother-in-law. And it's easy to give everything to your son. If I'm a man, I give to my son. But a woman is told to give to a new girl who comes to the house. And we call it, like, every mother-in-law and daughter-in-law have friction.
Oh, right.
Have friction because of the social expectation put on women. As a daughter-in-law, I'm supposed to accept this whole family as my own, and as a mother-in-law, I'm supposed to expect a new person. Even your own body, when you get a foreign body part, takes time to adjust. So, but men don't have to do that.
Right.
And we say that women have problems.
And that's and that's a recurring theme through many of your shows. So that's pretty cool. Looking at production, like you said, you've directed, you produce. What aspect is your favorite, and what sort of takes you the most time to learn? Writing.
I think every time I write a new character or a new person, I like knowing their tastes, where they come from, how they are, how their family life is, how their romance will be, how every time there's a Cinderella story, I feel I'm living that emotion again with this new character. I think I love writing.
Oh, nice. And then is there, do you write some things that don't make it into the show eventually? Like, are you writing long biographies of these, of these characters that, just to
I don't
set
think,
the scene?
yeah, I think eventually sometimes what you write never comes on air. But at the end of the day, you have to know it. When you're writing a character, you have to know where they're coming from. You may never use that information, but you have to know it. It just helps you mark the journey better. We all are a product of our experiences.
Now, are you creating characters? Are you creating characters for actors, or are you bringing actors to become your characters?
I never create characters for actors except for Sakshi Tanwar, who I have created characters for because I think she's a brilliant actor. And there are times when I create a character and think, okay, this actor will have to play it, and sometimes I've waited. But 95% of the time, I just create the character. I'm almost like how a doctor sees an audition, I just see an audition as blankly. I hate nepotism, so I don't know who the person is in front of me. Don't find out any body of work what they've done. I just see the character and I feel actor and I feel, okay, this person, you just know it instinctively will suit your show. I feel that's the reason most of my actors have so easily fit in as a glove with their character, because I mean, when I saw Divyanka's audition, I didn't know what she had done before, but I knew that she has to be Ishita. Same for all the other characters.
And your shows touch on a wide variety of subject matter and really weighty and heavy issues too. So how do you choose which subjects to address in your serials?
So I feel like television is so much writing. You're writing an episode a day for every show. That there's enough scope to actually explore all aspects of a person or a story with humor. Sometimes you get extremely dramatic, sometimes you get extremely shock oriented, but at the same time you play a lot of humor in shows, because I think there's so much time and to pan out these stories that you'll end up doing all of it.
Okay, cool. And then I also wanted to shift a little bit more to the the state of the industry in India. Like where do you think it's going? You already talked about the need to segment shows for the folks living in metropolitan areas, rural areas. There's obviously a global audience these days. What do you think is next for your industry to conquer?
So as I said, most consumption is now happening on the digital. Television and appointment viewing and family viewing is becoming more like a time-oriented thing. I want to watch 2 hours, but I rather not watch TV. I rather spend it having dinner with my family. TV viewing or episode consumption is becoming more individualistic, except in small towns, especially for the global Indians on the move. If I have an hour, I'll go to my mobile, check the last episode of Orange is the New Black or House of Cards, then I move on in life. So with that being individual viewing, I don't have to actually watch. Like I did a show a year and a half ago in India. I thought it was really nicely made. It was about second chances, about a woman moving on after having a very bad marriage and getting just friendly with this man who comes into her life. It didn't work because 80% of India couldn't watch it with their husbands. So it became tough for them, saying that, we want to watch the show, but every time my husband says, why are you watching the show? I mean, so, the show died due to a lot of insecurity, but but I realized that it would be a perfect show for the app because it's individual viewing. You can watch a story on your own.
And then the other side of online viewing, of course, is binge watching and watching multiple
Absolutely,
episodes at
you
once.
just watch a story at one go, finish it off, then hopefully wait for the next season, or then say after 4 episodes you don't want to watch it. But so you don't have to watch half every day, and it doesn't have to be 100 episodes. You just can enjoy high impact, great storytelling in smaller, shorter formats.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Well, hopefully folks will use the app for that. How do you plan to grow that as a business? Is there going to be a subscription model?
It's a subscription model. It's for the international Indian about $2 per month for the app, which is way lesser than what other channels pay. And it's going to be 32 shows a year with a lot of top television actors, film actors, lots of programming, of course, different languages. And of course, the fun part of this whole thing is that I'm not looking at turning it into a profitable venture in the first year. It's 2-3 years. I think the moment you start seeing the shows, you know what I can't even explain what I'm doing. There's no way to say what kind of program will it be. Will it be like Kyunki or will it be like Dirty Picture? I'm like, it's going to be a bit of both.
It's going to be its own entity. And your career in the industry, it's been 15-20 years since you started making a mark on the.
I started 22 years ago.
Yeah. And
that doesn't have to speak about my age.
Started when you were 6, but you've been through highs and lows. Like obviously things are very successful now. You're expanding into new areas, but there were times that were more rough. How did you approach learning from some failures? It's a tradition we carry on here at Google as well.
So from being on top 36 out of 50 shows, I was in 1 year without one show in top 50. So, I mean, you just realize that anything and everything in life passes. I believe in the 5-ball theory, which is that you got to keep juggling the 5 balls of your life. One is your family, one is your love life, one is your health, one is your work, and one is your own success. And at the end of the day, the only 2 balls which are made of glass is health and family. So the others can fall, they'll bounce back.
Oh, yeah.
But these 2, if they fall, they never bounce back. So I try to juggle all the 5 balls, but these 2 I see that I manage better. And career, I've realized one thing, that you can do the best shows, but it's a success or failure is not in your hands. At the end of the day, you should enjoy the journey, take the setbacks with a smile. It passes. Things keep happening which are not in your control. Sometimes deal cannot happen because there's been a global meltdown. Like, hello, what did I do in this? But
right. Things that are inside your control and outside. So you think you're juggling pretty well today, or what?
I don't know if I'm juggling pretty well, but I constantly try to see that I keep perspective while keeping my eye on the ball. I still try to keep perspective.
That's cool. And then what would you say your proudest moment has been, apart from overseeing this cricket league and everything?
My proudest moment, I don't think I've had a lot of ups and downs to have any proudest moment, but I think I've had these days in my life where I've been told that just moments at that time when you look back at your life and you see you actually started from a garage. And you actually were somebody that no one expected anything from. That makes you think, okay, not bad. So I have really not had any proud moments, because I really actually recollected just now after you said, and I couldn't even think of one.
Yeah, well, it's the journey, like you said.
Yeah, it's
just
great days and bad days, and I think we all have them.
So what sort of advice would you give to the next generation of people entering the industry?
So I never take my competition as the big daddies or the big global conglomerates out there. It's always the new guy sitting in the garage that is the big fear, because he's the man who's hungry. He's the man with the new ideas. He's the one who will come and revolutionize the world again. So he or she, whoever's in the garage, just go ahead and do what you want, because there is no outcome that is guaranteed. All you can guarantee is that you enjoy the journey.
And that you tried. So I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 audience questions, if there's something burning on your mind. I guess we have one up here in the front. We have a microphone.
Yeah, so there you go. Hi Ekta.
Hi.
I'm Kavita.
Hi,
So
Kavita.
I have a question for you. What made you pick letter K for your shows and move on to other letters now?
Yes. That was on my list
Okay,
too.
so in India at one time, a lot of people thought it was only astrology, which is a part of it. Someone had told me that K would suit me, and I said, if it's working, why not continue? After some time, I did give a couple of flops also, and I was like, okay, now I need to change the alphabet. But then I said, what really worked was the brand was becoming synonymous with it. People who couldn't even understand English or Hindi or couldn't read, I'm talking about mass India, could hear K and knew it's my show.
Oh, okay.
And then it became my own brand recall. So I said, why change it? Till there were so many spin-offs with the same letter that the brand started losing its fabric of originality. And the Me Too's made its own originality. So then it was a time to revamp, like happens with any brand.
Well, just like here at Google, we make our way through the alphabet when we name versions of Android. So we have a question in the back, and then we'll cut to the one up here. So if you could please pass that. Yes, you're closer on the list. Oh.
Hi Ekta.
Hi.
I just wanted to find out what did you feel about Smriti Irani then and now?
So I feel then she was smart, extremely hardworking, extremely focused young girl. Now I feel that she is an extremely hardworking, extremely smart woman. I think except for her age, nothing has changed. I keep meeting her, she's the same.
That's nice.
She is extremely hungry to do something to change the universe, the world, the country she lives in, which is when she, if you see the way she used to act, it was extremely forceful, it was extremely passionate. I think rarely do people who conform or fit into boxes make history. I think she's one woman who will make histories. So you won't find her following any weather-beaten path.
Thank you.
So we just have time for one more question over here.
Hi Ekta, my name is Sunny Moza. I'll tell you one secret first. There is an actor inside every engineer. I'm sure most of them will agree. And this is coming from somebody who's acted in your Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. Question is, when would you start casting actors from US, California, outside India?
So a part of the app's function is going to be casting, which where you can upload an audition to me and we'll be putting out there various, so actually I didn't tell this, but I did a lot of casting through Facebook, and these people used to write to me and I used to see them act. And then of course after it became well known that I'd cast Karan Kundra through an audition I saw of his, which he just sent me on FB, of course my account crashed, but I think it's the way forward, and of course I'm going to be setting up a big function of the app would be a community that will be of actors all over the world, because the whole idea is that if you're making shows about global Indians and you're going to be shooting globally for them, you need actors from all over the world, and I'm hoping to launch lots of actors from every part of the world. So there's going to be like an audition put out, and you just have to then do an audition wherever you are on your mobile and send it, and you get cast.
So that means there's hope for me. I need to download this app. That's pretty amazing.
I actually think the world is becoming like a big global village, and stories are going to be about everyone living everywhere. I think we're going to be far more connected than we thought.
So
and you guys are helping?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And so yeah, we're pretty there. You know, I was voted the best dressed male at Google Diwali 2013. So
Lovely.
That passes the first round.
I would give you my vote.
Oh, thank you. So does that mean you want to start doing producing shows in America, or will you stick with?
So I'm actually
India?
shooting a film in the next few days in America. It's shooting in New York called Half Girlfriend with Mohit Suri and Arjun and Shraddha. But yeah, I would love to. I mean, in fact, I'm shooting another show of mine, which is on Star Plus, which is about two people who fall in love. I've heard so many of these stories. Actually started. I wanted to shoot it in Canada, but I'm shooting in Austria now. I started with this Siddharji taxi driver who was telling me how he and his wife, he got married to a woman, married her in like Amritsar or something, and came here. So that's the story. It's about these two people who are in a foreign land. So it's actually an NRI show, and how they connect with each other in a totally alien world and become a part of each other's lives. So that's my next show actually. It's called Proudest Mein Hai Mera Dil. It's coming on Stars. So it's actually, and the whole show is going to be shot in Austria.
Oh, nice.
Because it's actually was based first in Canada, in Sardar family.
Cool, very nice. So we want to thank you for stopping by today.
Thank you.
The app coming out in November on iOS and Google Play, the whole deal.
Yes.
And we look forward to seeing continued news of your success. So thank you very much for speaking
Thank
with
you
us
so
today.
much. Jai Mata Di.
Thank you. Ekta Kapoor.